Hey everyone, welcome back to Corporate Decoder, the place where we sift through corporate filings so you don't have to. And today's filing is about Lightwave Logic. Get ready, because after we're done, you'll have a bright idea about what they do. Sorry, couldn't resist. We are diving into their latest proxy statement, a document that tells us who's running the show and what big decisions are coming up. It includes who's getting paid what, who owns the company, and what shareholders get to vote on at the next big meeting. First things first, it is required to check whether they paid their fees. Luckily, in this case, no fee was required. The main event, the 2025 annual meeting, is scheduled for May 15th, 2025 at the Hilton Denver Inverness. Shareholders will be voting on electing directors, ratifying the appointment of their accounting firm, and approving a new equity incentive plan, which we'll dig into later. They really want shareholders to vote, so they are giving information on how to vote online, by phone, or by mail. There are three important proposals for the shareholders to vote on. Electing directors, think of them as company's managers. Ratifying the appointment of the accounting firm, Stefano Slack LLC, which makes sure the numbers are correct. And approving the Lightwave Logic Ins 2025 Equity Incentive Plan, which is about giving employees company stock. For electing directors, it is based on who get the most votes. For the accounting firm ratification and the equity incentive plan, it needs more than 50% of the votes to say yes. If you just leave your proxy card blank, they will vote for the directors and for the proposals. But if you do not tell your broker how to vote, they may not vote on some items. Let's get to know the directors. They include Yves Lemaitre, the CEO, James Marcelli, the CFO and COO, Ronald Bucky, the chair of the board, and Siraj Noor El-Mahdi, Craig Ciesla, Lala Partridge, and Thomas Connolly Jr. They each have different amounts of time left on their terms, some as far as 2027. The company entered into an agreement with Siraj Noor El-Ahmadi, who's already on the board, to provide engineering services. He gets paid $20,000 a month plus stock options. To keep things fair, the audit committee checks all deals with related parties, like the one we just mentioned with Mr. El-Ahmadi. Lightwave Logic has a code of ethics, which are rules everyone in the company follows, that they have on their website. The company determined that Ronald Bucky, Craig Ciesla, Lala Partridge, and Thomas Connolly Jr. are independent directors, meaning they don't have relationships that would influence their decisions. The audit committee, made up of Ronald A. Bucky, Craig Ciesla, and Lala Partridge, takes a deep look at companies' reporting and relationships with its auditor. They're saying everything looks good, and they gave the green light for the financial statements to be included in the annual report. The compensation committee is who sets the compensation for executives and directors. It is comprised of Lala Partridge, Craig Ciesla, and Thomas Connolly Jr. The Nominating and Corporate Governance Committee is responsible for director nominations and corporate governance policies. It consists of Thomas Connolly Jr., Ronald A. Bucky, Craig Ciesla, and Lala Partridge. The Board of Directors held 5 meetings in 2024. The company's insider trading policy prohibits employees from shorting the company's stock, trading options, or hedging their positions. The executive team consists of Yves Lemaitre as CEO, Thomas Zellabor as president, and James Marcelli as CFO and COO. The point of the company's executive pay program is to attract and keep talented executives. They want to pay them fairly based on what similar companies pay. The big parts of executive compensation are base salary, bonus, and long-term compensation in the form of stock. Yves Lemaitre, the CEO, makes $420,000 a year and has a chance to earn a bonus of $150,000. Plus, he got a stock award as part of his sign-on. Thomas Zellabor, the president, makes $360,000 a year and has a chance to earn a $75,000 bonus. He also received a stock award for signing on. James Marcelli, the CFO and COO, makes $385,875 a year. He can also receive a bonus, half in cash and half in stock. Let's have a look at the summary compensation table where we get the final numbers. CEO Yves Lemaitre made $26,873. Looking back at prior CEO Michael Levy, he made $814,509. Keep in mind, this is not the same as compensation actually paid, and the footnotes show what it includes. The grants of plan-based awards table shows all the stock and options grants given to executive officers during 2024. For example, James Marcelli got options to purchase 120,000 shares at $5 per share in June. Yves Lemaitre was granted 150,000 options at $26.5. There are employee agreements for each named executive officer. They describe what happens if the executive leaves the company. The former CEO, Michael Levy, retired in December 2024. He will continue to get his salary, $441,000, and health insurance for 12 months. The outstanding equity awards table shows the stock options executives had at the end of the year. James Marcelli had the most options, 150,000 shares for 70 cents a share. There's no formal policy for determining severance for executive officers. There is a table of potential payments upon termination. If Yves Lemaitre gets terminated without cause, he would receive $423. If Thomas Elibler gets terminated without cause, he would receive $350,000. If James Marcelli gets terminated without cause, he would receive $355,000. If Dr. Michael Levy was terminated without cause, he would have made $441,000. The directors also get compensation. Ronald Berkey made $380,14 Siraj, Noor El Almadi made $459,135, and Frederick Leonberger made $500, and Al Ain and Leon $11,935. All their compensation is made up of cash and stock awards. Non-employee directors receive a compensation schedule, including cash fees and stock awards. The lead director gets $25,000 annually, while committee chairs get $37,500 to $45,000. Now that we are done with the management aspect of the filing, it is time to dig into some important proposals, mainly about company stock. The rules of the Security Exchange Commission requires for companies to show how well paid the CEO is compared to the average worker, which is disclosed here. The ratio of Dr. Levy's pay to the average employee was 4.5 to 1, and for Yves Lemaitre was 3 to 1. Here's something called a pay versus performance table that has all sorts of numbers to understand how well people were paid. Over the last 4 years, total pay for executives has bounced around a bit, but net losses have continued. It is required to compare to total shareholder return to see how it matches to people's bonuses. It may not seem like people would get paid so well as their business loses money, so these numbers are important to review carefully. It is required to name all the committees, what they do, who sits on them, and what their duties are. Back to the important vote to elect directors. Ronald Berkey and Craig Ciesa are up for election for 3-year terms. The board recommends shareholders to vote for the election of all nominees. Let's talk about the auditors. Stefano Slack LLC are proposed to serve as the company's independent accounting firm for 2025. They took over for Morrison Cogen LLP. Audit fees were pretty standard, with Morrison Cogen getting paid $104,800 with a few fees for tax. Morrison Cogen was replaced with Stefano Slack, but no information was provided about that firm. Morrison Cogen resigned in September 2024. No disagreements were mentioned. Again, the board is recommending the shareholders vote to ratify the appointment of Stefano Slack LLC. Finally, we have Proposal 3 regarding the approval of the Lightwave Logic Inc. 2025 Equity Incentive Plan. They need to approve this so the company can continue to grant stock awards to employees. This plan allows them to use company stock to attract, keep, and motivate employees. The total number of shares authorized for this plan is 6,000. The board can change or end the plan, but it cannot mess with awards already given. The plan will be good for 10 years unless cancelled earlier. There is a summary of tax consequences for the awards. It's important to note stock option grants and stock awards are taxed differently depending on the situation. The board of directors recommends that the shareholders vote for the approval of the Lightwave Logic Incentive Plan. Shareholders have a deadline, November 28th, to submit proposals for the 2025 annual meeting. Tend now for my final thoughts. Lightwave Logic is at a pivotal point. The leadership changes are substantial and the company needs to execute its plans flawlessly. The key is for the company to translate all their activity into revenue. Their compensation seems high for their size, but hopefully this will lead to big gains. Thanks for watching Corporate Detoda. If you found this breakdown helpful, please like, comment, and subscribe for more deep dives into the world of corporate filings. Let me know which company you'd like to see me decode next.